You are now listening to the Konig Behind the Wheel podcast.
All right, so we're here with MATT VANKIRK. Matt, we're in the middle of Wall Stadium. We're in the middle of Wall Stadium. It's completely drenched. How do you make adjustments in the rain?
Well, I actually grew up in the rain, so I'm from Evergreen Drift. Right. So my whole life, learning how to drift all the way up to now, most of my time's actually been in the rain. Yeah. So with adjustments, other than that, our car's pretty set up. It's really grippy. Even in the dry, our car's has almost too much grip for the power we're making. Right. So the only adjustments we really made was just lower the tire pressure down. All we're doing is we have as much mechanical grip as we can on the suspension right now. So right now we're just kind of lowering the tire pressure and seeing what feels good, what has the most forward bite, even with these slick surfaces.
Right. And tomorrow, if the weather would change, you get a dry period, what kind of things do you do to the car? Is it really just air pressure adjustments, or at that point you kind of almost have to start all over and reevaluate?
At the point we're at right now, it is just tire pressure. But if it is going to stay dry, it looks like the forecast does have a chance of rain for tomorrow and a lot on Saturday. So we're probably going to leave the suspension where we have it set to right now and just pretty much mess with the tire pressure.
How has the adjustment been going from Pro 2 up to Pro?
So it's actually been quite a big jump. Even from Pro-Am to Pro 2 was a drastic jump for me. I had to pretty much do a whole new build, and it's a big learning experience so far. It's these cars making a lot more horsepower than last year. Our car is pretty much the same as it was last year in Pro 2, other than we're running a 275 tire. So even though we're at the same power level we were in Pro 2, we went from a 255 to a 275. So we're getting actually a lot more grip out of the car. It's making the drivability a little less, but in order to keep up with some of these guys, that's what we have to do.
You've mentioned that before. I even saw on the live stream that when you were talking to, on the live stream in the interview, you were saying that your car has a lot of mechanical grip. And because of that, even though you're a little underpowered for maybe the field, it still helps you keep competitive. You find that to be the case?
Yeah, I actually also just on open drift days at Evergreen Drift, I have a BRZ, and even with that, it's a stock engine, and I drive with my buddies that have 300-400 horsepower, and even though they're off on throttle and stuff, I'm literally just trying to keep it sideways, and so with all that practice, that's helped a lot. But yeah, as far as that goes, it's feeling pretty solid. Before Seattle, we're going to plan on doing some nitrous because I actually like where the power is at right now. We do have the grip, it's there, but the only thing I would like to have more is more low end torque. Because, some of these tracks, especially with big banks, when I'm in third gear, just kind of floored the entire time. And if I'm following and I have to let off for even a split second, get back into it, it's kind of hesitant. It makes me wobble a little bit. It's not very, the drivability's not there like it was in Pro-Am when I had a V8. So after this round, I think I'm going to tear some car apart, go through it. Hopefully we'll get a built engine. BC's on board to help us out. But I think at the very least, I'm going to run some nitrous and just for help spool the turbo and bring down our air intake temps because those are kind of high right now as well.
Right. So you're only a few rounds into Pro, but if you had to give yourself advice going backward, what kind of advice do you think you would give yourself from just as a hindsight looking backward? Anything?
Yeah. The biggest thing is in Orlando, I did do some practice stops with Osbo, so I knew we were a lot quicker than him on the bank. So in competition, for some reason, I decided to kind of give myself, instead of just driving the car, I kind of changed my driving for the car, and I wish I never did that. I wish I just would drive like how I normally would. So other than that, that's probably the biggest thing I would change.
Yeah, it was a pretty rough draw. You seem to have magically drawn some pretty hard starting matches for your first entrance into Pro.
Yeah, but I'm also glad because, driving with the best, we're learning, we're improving, and we've learned a lot driving with these guys, so I'm glad that I got paired up with them. Even though it was soon, it could be a good thing because then, we're slowly developing the car and how we're driving and everything else, and hopefully start placing up top by the end of the year.
So one of the things that I actually just spoke to Travis Reeder about, I just spoke to him the other night, and the only reason I'm even bringing up Travis is because one of the conversations that we had together was his decision. I mean, obviously there was some financial impact too, but his decision to stay down in Pro 2. He was second, you were third, Lawrence was first. Do you think that there was there any decision when you were thinking about do I make the jump? Do I not make the jump? What kind of factors were in your mind that played into how you, like, moving to pro?
So, yeah, well, Travis is a great driver. We did Pro-Am together. He's up from the Northwest as well, and we've driven a lot. I honestly think he's well talented enough to be here in Pro 1, but I see where he's coming from, because even I had the same kind of thoughts about it. It's a lot of money, and with mainly Travis cars, we're both not compared to these Pro 1 level vehicles. I think he's only making 500, almost 600 horsepower as well, and yeah, it's tough, especially if you're going to do the jump. You might as well get a program that's full and complete, and, you feel confident about going into it. But I was kind of just was like, we're here. It's pretty much time to do it. If it works out, it works out. If not, it's a great learning experience, and we're not going to give up. We're here to king with these big guys out in the sport, so we kind of just went for it and play it by ear, and I'm glad we did, because I learned a lot. If I did Pro 2, I feel like I wouldn't have learned anything new, because it was pretty much what we did last year. So
well, and that's the thing, you're kind of surrounded by a talent level, and then every time you jump through series, you jump through a different level of talent, right? So you've kind of jumped. I mean, I will say that your jumps were quick. I mean, you were in Pro-Am for a few years, but then your time in Pro 2 is fairly short. I mean, you had a few rounds in what, 16? Yeah. And then 17, you had a really good podium place, and then you're right up through Pro. A lot of guys end up, occupying the Pro-Am, and if they make it up to Pro 2, they're there for quite a while, and then there's only so many people that make that jump forward. What do you think about your time span? I mean, does it feel kind of a little surreal, kind of making those jumps so quickly, or do you feel like, no, this is my time, and I was ready to make them?
Yeah, well, it's definitely surreal lining up with like James Dean and Osbo, and like I've looked up to Osbo my pretty much my whole drifting career. Like, he's always been one of my favorite drivers, and so like lining up next to him, looking over there, and getting ready to just battle with him is really surreal moment. It's even thinking about it now that I'm here, it's just like I just like it's like a dream come true, and it's hard to even think about that, but like the biggest jump really is for me, these cars, they're tandeming with like such as Pro-Am. It was really easy to close proximity tandems, and just like the grip levels aren't where they are right now. Like just like the driving wise, it's like there's a lot of talent guys in even just grassroots, not even doing competition. There's a lot of good guys out there, but with tandeming and driving with these cars, it's like a whole different sport to me. Like it's nothing like it was in Pro-Am. With Pro-Am, I was able to just like left foot brake, get on everyone's door, surge on them. Here, it's like a whole different thing. If your line goes over just the slightest, like how in Atlanta, I kind of washed out with Odie. I was blind. I was blind for 3-4 seconds. It's all the mental game in Pro 1s, even from Pro 2s, is
another level.
Yeah, so we're learning. We're slowly learning the mental game, and as we get better at that, I feel like we're going to be a lot more competitive in competition. So
I won't keep you, because I know that we got things to do before the next round of practice. But the one thing I do want to ask you, and I hope to have you on our podcast at some point, so that will be cool, and we can really get into it more. But one thing I want to ask you is, do you have any advice from the guys that are in Pro-Am right now that are looking at you and they're like, man, 3 years ago he was here where I am? What advice would you give to them into trying to, kind of stay in their surroundings, but build up to maybe kind of coming to where you are?
Well, it's definitely a struggle. There's been so many times where I'm like, man, am I gonna like make that jump? Am I gonna go do that? How am I gonna get the funds? But I'm glad I did. Even though I might not have the funds at the time, it's worked out. If you just push yourself and you don't give yourself another option, you'll make it happen. And it's like, I feel like that's what all these guys have said in the past. And but like the biggest thing, like if you're in Pro-Am and you're doing pretty good, because I actually did Pro-Am even though I won the championship, I didn't go straight to Pro 2. I kind of built my program up a little bit too, but I still did Pro-Am. The big thing is keep driving too. Like, I'm glad I did that second year of Pro-Am. I drove with Travis a bunch. I feel like that helped me improve. And the biggest thing is that, you just got to kind of just go for it. If you have doubts, but if that's really what you want to do, it's a big jump. But yeah, once you're there, you're going to be glad that you did it.
Awesome. Well, listen, it was cool. It was one of the first times we've had a face-to-face interaction. We've spoken a lot, as we went. But I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Kill it.